County Prep Football TV. I'm joined by Dave Dickens, Sports.com. Brought in with us today the defending Grossmont Valley League champion, Santana Sultans. They shared the championship last spring. Who am I kidding? I'm trying to change where we're at, but everybody knows what happened last year, and it was a great year for the Santana Sultans. We have several of the Sultans joining us today. We got a myriad, a whole 9 box here, Dave, of our Sultans, and we'll go around and meet them real quick before we kick in with the conversation. Ethan Wright, Nick Ledger, Luke Nash, Jaxen Dolan, and David Friedman, and of course joining us from the coaching staff, Taylor Estes and head coach Tim Estes. We'll get the lowdown with all these guys. We'll get their grades and all that because we need to know a little bit about the Sultans, Dave.
No, absolutely. First of all, it was not only was it a shortened season, but we also had a trifecta like we did. What was it? 2 years prior to that, also in the Hills. So you guys kind of did a little swap with the smaller season. I'm sure that you guys would have preferred to replay that last game though against the Wolfpack, not only for the cup but also for the fact that you would have won and been up there all by yourselves. And it's funny too because I remember the night before, not so funny, but Coach Casey had said that he was just hoping to get a piece of hardware after the season that he had and endured. He was just hoping for some kind of trophy, because we really didn't get anything from CIF as far as any of the teams in the Grossmont Conference or anybody San Diego County football for that matter. But we also had the injury bug, so we're not using that as an excuse or anything. But it was a heck of a game, though, played over there. I mean, it always is when you guys match up. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Dave. That was a night. Everybody got a little share of something, but these Sultans certainly had a great season. We got to get to know some of these people, so we'll start maybe with head coach Tim Estes, because it looks like we're going to have some turnover this year in East Santee. But the one thing we have going for us right now at Santana is winning, and I think that's what these guys can kind of build upon, because there's a lot of winning, especially when we're at home, which is a good thing. And coach, maybe some new faces. We're going to talk to some today, but I think these guys know that winning has become an expectation now.
It really has. And, the kids that we have that are here tonight, and the guys that we lost from last year's team and the rest of the guys from this year's team, they will do a fantastic job. David, I think, out of the bunch is the only one that played, and Jaxen were the only two that played during our shortened season. Ethan played baseball. Luke he's a transfer from Texas. And then Nick, he played as a JV, and he pulled him up a little bit at the end. So we have a couple guys with some experience here for playing varsity football. And then we have a whole bunch of them that are still coming, that are back playing from last year as well.
And Coach, how are the numbers this year? Are the numbers where they're supposed to be too, or maybe a little higher than expected?
They are higher than we expected. We're right around, and Tatum might be able to confirm this, I think we're around 140 players, give or take a few. And then, but I know there's a lot of programs that are really hurt. I've heard a couple guys out in East County that 50 for the whole program, and we have 140. And so I heard just us, No Cap, and West Hills are the only ones that have 3 teams, complete teams.
And believe it or not, to fit one in there too, we just had Christian on the other night, and believe it or not, they have broken history over there at their place. They've got a ton of players to work with this year. Biggest roster that they've had ever at Christian High.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I know a couple of their coaches, and we were talking the other day. He told me that as well, that they have some good numbers for Christian.
So, I'm sure Mount McGill and Monte Vista would love to share in that pot, and so would Elkhorn Valley, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah. And then and a lot of those programs, sometimes we struggle with numbers and stuff, but they'll be ready to go once the season starts.
Right.
Hopefully they'll have enough numbers to have all 3 teams.
I hope so. I mean, I think that's one of the things that kind of, I don't know, kind of equalizes the things a little bit in the Valley League. I think of, those Monarchs. They've kind of had their hands on the title over the last few seasons, but they're going to be, stuck again with numbers probably 20 or below on the varsity. So, that's a little bit of an equalizer when it comes to depth. And in this Valley League, it's going to be just crazy. Ethan, you're an experienced player with some of those. I don't know if they're all rivalries against some of those other teams that were very good. I mean, we know what we did against El Capitan. We won that game in about 6 minutes. And certainly have had some tough games with teams like the Monarchs. But against West Hills, that was a different story. But still, Ethan, a part of that championship team, probably was all worth it to play those games. I'm sorry it worked out the way it did as far as the time and the number of games, but you guys had to be pretty satisfied with how things went.
Oh, we 100% were. We just worked hard all season. We just did exactly what we needed to do.
And Ethan, quite the not to get into that too deep, but quite the baseball team as usual for the Sultans. You guys usually go hand in hand. I mean, the Santana baseball team's been good for I can't even remember the last time they had a losing season. So like Ramon had mentioned before, with the football program and the baseball program, has become pretty much expected to win some titles.
That is very true from us.
And real quick on that too, what did you think about that? I mean, being able to be, I know it all came at once, but sharing the football field along with swinging the bat a little bit.
It was more stressful than anything, just deciding on what I really wanted to do, what I really wanted to do. I ended up choosing baseball, but football was definitely up there with baseball for sure. It was definitely back and forth, but baseball has just been my life, so I just had to go with baseball. But I'm here this year. That's all that matters.
Absolutely. That was going to be our question anyway. Usually with the 2 or 3 sport or multi-sport athletes that we get, seems to be getting back to where we used to be, and that's a good thing for you guys personally. But the coaches, on the other hand, may not appreciate it as much, depending on the numbers.
But this past, I was going to say, I was in comment with Ethan and stuff. The kids that went on to baseball, to be honest, I encourage kids, if they had a thought about playing baseball, go play baseball, because they lost their season the year before, and so they'd have been out basically, more or less 2 years. And I go, no, go play baseball. You guys missed out, and I was perfectly content with that. I'm glad, and they had a good season, and I'm just glad that we got to separate our seasons so we could get those guys back for this year.
And Ethan, you were happy with that, I'm sure too. And then you get the coach's blessing on top of that. I'm sure you were glad the way things worked out.
Yeah, I was. It's just I don't really know how to explain last season. Last season was just a mess. It was a mess from the beginning. From not going to school, still going to have to go to baseball for school. It was stressful all around.
Believe me, we've been there, done that. Ramon and myself, we got the T-shirt as well. So from 2020, so we definitely know how you feel. The landslide of sports, if you will.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Dave. Like I said, we're going to try to meet all these guys. Let's go down. Nick's got a good setup down there. Nick, probably going to be calling some of the shots this year, I would think, at quarterback. We've had some good quarterbacks at Santana. What have you learned? Where do you stand? How do you feel? I mean, we know what this team can do offensively. It's not one-dimensional, but certainly some big numbers offensively from this club. Is there a learning curve to being a Santana? Oh, Nick. I've lost Nick.
No.
Come on, Nick.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is where Taylor. Okay, here he comes. I would say this is where Taylor helps me out, but hold on. I've got Nick back, and I know he heard me. While he was gone, we made fun of the Dodgers. But Nick, hope you heard my question. Is there a learning curve to being a Santana Sultan quarterback, or does this staff make it look as easy as the players have made it seem over the last couple of years?
Yeah, so for my whole life, I never really played quarterback. I always played like receiver or slot, safety, everything. But coming in, I knew like I wanted to play quarterback. Coach Tipton, Coach Estes, they like really helped me. They put in the work. And I feel like this year, having the fastest receivers and slots that we've ever had, I feel like we're going to have like a good season.
Taylor, how does someone end up being a quarterback at Santana if they've had? I mean, we see the line of succession that we've had. These guys have all kind of been groomed as quarterbacks, the last 2 or 3 guys. So, what does it take to be a quarterback of the Sultans?
Oh, miss. You got to have the mentality to want to do it. All these kids have walked in wanting to be a quarterback versus us having to find one. We've had that in the past. So my friend Gutierrez from 2015, 14, 15, we made him a quarterback. He ended up well for us, but he didn't want to be one. So all these kids coming in wanting to be one and eager to learn has been huge for us.
And Nick, how many years, as far as prior experience, had you had? I mean, maybe in Pop Warner as well, behind center. Had you had some experience as well?
Never played quarterback in my life. I've played 9 seasons of football and never played quarterback.
Even better.
Yeah.
Even better, right, Coach? Because then you guys can groom him exactly the way that you want him. I at least in my experience, I think that would be it would be better as a coach's point of view to be able to groom them on your particular playbook when he's never known any other playbook.
No, it is a little bit helpful. And also, we don't have to worry about any bad habits that he might pick up along the way because we get to make his bad habits fun now. But no, and like I said, Nick is really kind of taking control of the stuff. The summertime, we're sitting there. After you throw a ball one way or the other, we kind of talk about it a little bit. He's really matured over the summer and coming into the season. Though, really happy with the progression he's made.
That's what I was going to say. Also, I'm glad we had that little mini season because it kind of let Nick dip his feet into the water before he goes head first into the season for what he actually has to do this season. And learning the example was also helpful to him.
Yeah, Taylor, I think that, I mean, there was only a couple of fortunate teams that were able to do that. You and about maybe 3 others had that option of, being up a couple of touchdowns. So you could swap a couple guys out here and there, whether it be linemen, whether it be at the quarterback position, running backs, and, not only keep them fresh, but give them that experience that they would need to go into the next season. And like I say, there was only a few of you, yourselves, Granite Hills, maybe West Hills, but really, I mean, the 2 of you especially, though, were able to take advantage of that and, see what you really had depth-wise, which is definitely a good thing. So the shortened season, it was just like a spring football program that you guys got to have, and just a shorter off season. 6 weeks is not exactly it's like you took a little breather and just had let's get right back to it.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully we didn't come back with too many injuries, but the kid he was from last year, or there's 2 freshmen from last year that are coming into this year that can't play because of an injury from that. But luckily, that's the only 2. But I can see where other teams could have some injuries because that short team didn't give them the time to heal if there's an ACL or any other serious injuries like that prevented them from playing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's good to always have that strength in numbers, as we've talked about before. I don't know how Coach Ham and Troy does over his programs, but somehow I know Hamamoto for sure has been lucky to put together some championship teams with just a few guys, or as Coach Ash would say, if you got a couple of dudes, then you're good to go. You know, you just need those couple of guys that can go both ways and make things happen. And I mean, you guys had that in Richter last year. You know, he could do the running back thing for you, and he can definitely keep the pressure on from the edge.
Yeah.
Yes, he could.
Maybe we'll ask some of these guys if there is another Michael Richter on this team. Well, you know, I'm sure that these guys know who those guys are that are kind of the emerging as the potential stars. And I keep losing David, and I'm going to ask him a question next in case I lose you, Dave. You're worrying me down there, David. But Taylor and Dave also talked of the experience of this club, and I kind of said we don't necessarily have the experience, but was I wrong, David? Is there some returning experience to these Sultans? Tell me some of the guys who are around the team this year that were around as part of the championship that you are seeing out there. Oh, David.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of people on the team that worked really hard over the past 4 years that are just trying to get to where they want to be. But yeah, a couple of guys we have is Dolan Anderson. He's probably one of the faster kids on our team. He plays both ways, receiver and corner. Anthony Santiago, Logan Jordan. There's just a lot of guys that are working really hard.
Hey, even if David's connection is not that great, I got 3 names out of him so far. He's the leader in the clubhouse. So, Jaxen, who do you see out there? You've been working out, and we've had maybe an official week or so. Tell me who's working hard out there besides yourself.
There's definitely a couple of guys out there. I can name a couple that David named, like Logan Jordan and Dylan Anderson. There's also a couple big guys named Brandon Martin. He's a beast. Looks like a grown man. He's always working his butt off.
Good job, Taylor. Tell us about some of these guys. I'd like to know their positions. He mentioned Brandon Martin. He mentioned Anderson, a 2-way player. Maybe I'm worried about how many 2-way players the Sultans need. If any roster out there has maybe the least amount of 2-way guys. I thought maybe it was out of all the Valley teams. Maybe.
You want me to keep going with that? Or,
yeah. Oh, yeah, I do. Give David a second. He's just a second behind us, but keep going, David. All right, I'll give him. Luke, we haven't checked in with you yet. Luke, are you a junior?
Yes, sir.
Are you the only junior on this? Are you the only junior on this?
Nick is also.
There goes David.
The tails off right now, and I feel like it's really going to show out during the season. So,
what's the mix like, Taylor, of upperclassmen and underclassmen?
It's actually pretty 50-50 junior teams. A lot of juniors playing, a lot of seniors playing, and there's a good for junior. There's a couple sophomores that we've been looking at still, but it's primarily it's pretty 50-50 junior senior heavy.
Taylor, is there any any spectacular freshmen that were fortunate that were able to make it up to varsity that might be playing second string or?
Not yet. There are, I think, four or five that we pulled up on JV already, and there's one of them actually a lineman we're seriously thinking about, but it hasn't happened yet. We want to kind of get him through this scrimmage and probably the first game. Hopefully we don't need him up because we want him to get that experience first playing. But you never know what's going to happen in a football season.
We all just want to stay healthy. As long as we stay healthy, then we don't have to consider those options. But I'm sure it's good to have those guys groomed maybe halfway through the season. So in case you do have to get them.
One, we can bring them up for us, and two, I mean, we want to put all the kids on our team where they're going to play. Like we always have, like if there's a sophomore, we don't want a sophomore in varsity unless they're starting or playing the majority of the game because they'll go play the whole time on JV. So we want them to get their experience and want them to get opportunity. And there's no point of them sitting on varsity because that kind of we've seen over the years that if they don't play a lot, they don't come back. We want them to come back, so we find them the place where they play the most.
Right.
And I'm sorry, Taylor, if you could repeat it, or maybe if the guys can tell me again. You mentioned Luke is a junior, and who is another junior?
Nick, quarterback Nick.
Nick's a junior as well. Okay. No wonder. Yeah, I see. I got the plan now. I see the plan, coaches. Coach Estes, Coach Tim Estes, certainly rewarding to get that championship. I'm not going to belabor it, what happened against West Hills. I want to look at those first 4 games. I mean, the way we performed against Kearney, against El Cap, against Mount Miguel, against Valhalla. I don't know. Maybe, look, in a city rivalry, that's kind of what happens sometimes, I think, right? I mean, the whole world is, on the Santana Sultans a little bit, right? Can you teach a lesson from that last game, or is that something you wouldn't even mention to a group, maybe on a week-by-week basis? I mean, not something for the preseason, but when learning about motivating players learning about themselves when it comes to motivation.
Well, part of the thing is I think it was a good learning experience because we literally took a freshman and he started and played the entire game on defense against West Hills. We took a sophomore and put.
Oh, now I've lost Coach Tim.
Taylor, you got the end of that, or you could fill in where he was going with that.
That last game was really kind of next man up. Next man up had to step in and fill the shoes, and for the most part, they did really well. A couple silly plays that got away from us, but next man up is the one that how we had to do it. Like we brought that freshman in. That freshman was a week of decision. The sophomores that came up had to play the game, and so they had a lot of experience in that game. And defensively, I think we did pretty well.
Well, and as you could see too, you guys had some famous coaches from yesteryear on his sidelines, which I don't know. I think it was Coach Sutton helped out with the play, I guess in particular, and I guess really what it was is Coach Casey was just like beside himself to. I mean, Coach Sutton's been so successful at so many programs, but I mean, I'm sure even your dad was definitely happy to see Coach Sutton coming out to see a game of Santee between the two rivals.
Hey, Dave, this year the Sultans got a really interesting schedule starting off with the Coronado Islanders, and that's going to be out on the island, but then they come home to play I believe Montgomery. Taylor, you can correct me on this one. I'm just going off the max preps, but
Max
one of the
Preps should
best
be up to date.
match. Say it again, dear.
Max Preps should be up to date. I spent like an hour fighting with Max
Oh, okay.
Preps.
Well, I was going off
So it
the
should be
schedule. I haven't looked at the roster yet. But Dave, a home game against Mar Vista, and we know what that's all about when the Sultans and Mariners get together at Sweetwater. That's going to be tough before we get into that Valley League schedule, and it has the 2 home games to start off against Valhalla, against Mount Miguel. I think everyone's going to have to respect Valhalla back in the Valley League, and then a road game at El Capitan. They're going to be hungry against the Sultans after what the Sultans did to them last season, and just a flash when they got out on top. Then tough games, home at Monte Vista, and then at West Hills for that Santee Trophy before closing out at the Braves. Dave,
I mean, talk about they definitely set up that schedule for a reason, especially those last 2 out of 3. I mean, I like to say Coach Osborne will have a good game plan as well, but the 2 prior to that are definitely going to be some action packed, I guess is what I would say, as far as those 2 games in particular, that you definitely want to have your tickets in hand for those.
we got Coach Tim Estes back, and we'll let him finish his thought, even though Taylor knew exactly what he was going to say and said exactly what you were going to say.
Perfect. I'm done. I'm just kidding. No, normally she does. He's pretty good about that. But anyway, I was going to say, like with West Hills, a lot of guys got the opportunity, and they actually, they're going to come in and play again for us this year. And I said we couldn't replace those guys that we lost, because of their season was over. Like we can't just replace Victor with a sophomore or something like that, But those guys came up and performed very well. I couldn't have been prouder of the team after West Hills, even though the score didn't go our way. I was happy with the guys that we played. They fought the whole game. There was nothing.
That was a game, Coach. Too. I think I'm pretty sure it was that one. There's even more. It was real interesting. I guess one of the basketball players had to be called on to play for West Hills.
Oh, that could be. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we're all.
But at any rate, I mean that's always one of the bigger ones of the season. The Braves are not one to be overlooked, of course, even though that's the end of the season. And then with Coach Bussey back over there at Valhalla, probably looking to turn things around for them. And now that they're over here in the Valley, they'll definitely, if not this year, he's building for the future for sure.
Oh, of course, and we play them early on when they can stop. I think I might be a little bit better to play them early when they're still getting everything figured out. But playing them later, I think it will be tougher as long as we stay healthy. And the rest of us, of course, because he's a good coach. He'll get them prepared, ready to go.
Nick, who are your targets? So we touted how great the Sultan offense is. Are we going to see a different Santana Sultan type of team? Is your arm falling off yet, or do we have some running game? But tell me about who you're throwing the ball to in practice.
I'm throwing it to Dylan out at wide receiver, Dylan and David, and then Ethan and Jason are at slots. And then Luke is playing running back, and he really stepped in a lot coming from Texas. I feel like we're going to use him a lot here because Logan Jordan, we're not going to really play him as much on offense because he's on starting defense, and he's going to be working with offense defense.
And how are you? As far as you're concerned, you got a pretty stout line in front of you, and definitely have you covered up well, so you can make those hard throws. Correct?
Yeah, Jaxen and Dively are like our 2 biggest blockers right now, but we just really need to form everyone in. There's not a lot of them that played football before, so they just need to learn our plays, learn what to do, and I feel like we'll have a good season.
Well done.
Jaxen, we'll go, Dave Jaxen. We've had some pretty good linemen over the last couple of years for sure. How are they coming along? How are you guys coming along? And can we fulfill that tradition? We kind of got some tradition going with the Sultan linemen over the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, especially last season we had Gumby at center, and that guy was a beast. Couldn't have picked a better center to learn from, especially coming to the team for my first year. But yeah, I feel like some of these lines it's just a learning curve right now. They just got to get used to the plays. They got to learn the plays, know what their footwork is, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like if they can do that,
that's the biggest
it'll
key.
be a solid O-line.
Yeah, keeping those feet moving. I think that's the biggest key, even for a lot of those guys that haven't played a whole lot of football. Just making sure we don't have any ankle issues and get those things strengthened up real quick. Because there's going to be a lot of some pretty big defensive guys in the Valley League.
Yeah, sure thing, Dave. No doubt about it. That's what makes this Valley League so challenging, and we can build off those victories that we had against those Valley League teams, El Capitan, Mount Miguel, and Valhalla, but we didn't get to play that full schedule. So, Ethan, when you guys look at some of those other teams, in the Valley League, the teams that, we're supposed to be matched up equal against, but bottom line is we have that championship banner, and that we can boast going in that, even though it was a shared title, until we're knocked off from the perch, we deserve to be called champions.
We're not going to give it easy to anyone. We're going to go in there. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to run people over. We're going to make the tackles that we need to make. We're going to do everything that we need to do. Make the blocks that we make the easy, smart plays. That's just what we focused on. We're not worried about who's on the other team, what they're doing at practice. We're focused on ourselves.
Coach Tim, is there Michael Richter coming down the pipe? Any of these guys resemble that? I mean, I don't think that it was just him himself. I mean, he was a product of the program. We didn't know about Michael Richter before he was a Santana Sultan, right?
Oh, that's true. But, he was a Sultan off 4 years, so, we got to give him credit. But, one of the things that, Richter had that some of these guys have, and I think Luke, coming from Texas, I mean, he stepped up and he's done something very unique that I haven't seen sometimes. He got here the very first day, and he goes, Coach, can I get in? We're running a little 7-on-7 stuff. And he was here for like 10 minutes. And I go, yeah, sure, hop in. And then after that, can I get again? Can I get again? He just one of those guys that just kept wanting to get in. And he got everything down pretty quick. And he's got himself, more likely to start a job. He's done a fantastic job for us so far here in the fall. And defensively, we have some guys that can step up that have all stepped up. So we'll see how it turns out. Like I said, Michael was a unique type of guy, but I think some of these other guys can start filling in and doing some of the stuff he did.
Luke, you're probably the coolest guy on the panel. Do you have a motor?
At times, I just go. Whatever happens. I don't really try to think. I'll get to play, and then I'll go blank from there, and then I'll just go.
He plays very instinctively. That's a way to put it.
Is it an on-off switch type of thing, Taylor, with Luke?
I think the on switch is football.
It's always on, Luke?
Always stuck.
Yeah.
I think these guys agree.
He's being very modest right now.
Yeah. Coach Tim, do you want to comment on Luke again?
His motor's not going to stop. When he gets the ball in his hand, he's sitting there, he won't, he's not going to shy away from a tackle. It looks like he wants to run over somebody before he'll step out of bounds. I kind of dig it. It's kind of an old school thing, so I'm kind of digging on what he does.
And
are we going to have Nick throwing to him as well?
Yes, actually, he came in thinking that he was going to be a receiver, but he's athletic enough that we go, he can run the football as well. And since our offense kind of gears to, having guys be able to do, and we want our running back to be able to catch the ball as well, and that he filled that role very well for us. Since we have David and we have Dylan and we have Sean, we have a couple of these other guys that can play out there in space, and not as many running backs. Luke came in and he stepped in and he's filling the position very well.
And,
Luke,
and how about
go ahead, Dave.
How about speed wise? Not only from the backfield, but from your wideouts.
Oh, well, I think Nick mentioned earlier, we're pretty fast comparatively. Usually we'll have a fast guy here or there, but we have a few of them that can all run.
Across the board, we should be pretty quick.
Yeah.
Including Nick himself.
Yes.
Which means Nick's going to be getting rid of that ball pretty quick.
Yeah. Because our line, we got a lot of stuff to still work on and stuff, but we want to get that ball out in space to our fast guys for sure.
Yeah, Nick, do you having seen the way the team has been over the last couple of years? I mean, is that something though that is the coaches try to? It's the system may be the same or the patterns may be the same, but you have new personnel. So is that something where it just evolves as if you guys are going to be the same type of ratio run to pass, or is it just determined by the situation? How do you see this evolving?
I feel like when we get into games, it's no matter what, we're looking at what the defense is going to do, and that's how we're going to run our offense. And I feel like we have weapons all over the board, so no matter what the defense is doing, we could just counter that. Like if they have 2 safeties, we're going to run the ball all day. But if they have 1, we're just going to throw it up to our fast guys, let them do their magic, and just win.
Luke, what did you know about the Santana? I mean, how quick did you get up to speed on what this program has done? And this is we've had football success on and off at Santana High School for the better part of 25, 30 years now. What do you know? What did you see? Did you go back and look and see all these records, all these notable performances the Sultans had over the last 2, 3, 4 years?
I didn't do all this research and stuff. I mean, most of the guys, they usually told me about the bigger name guys that you've talked about. And then Ethan told me how things work. Nick told me how things went. And they just told me that they were pretty solid at most of the bigger positions that need to step up. And me coming in at some of the positions that the bigger name guys at Santana, me coming into it, I have some pretty big shoes to fill, and I think I'll be fine.
Let me tell you something, Luke. Just be on your toe. I mean, we're going to try to reel this in. We always try to shore these games up, make them a hard knocking football game. Get down in the turf, I guess now. But over the last couple of years, the Sultans have had some games that kind of look like a pinball machine. We don't always want that, but we've had some crazy ones. Let me tell you.
Yes, we have. Yes, we've had some fun.
I mean,
I think Mar Vista is always the one we circle on the calendar. That could be exactly that game. Typically, if history repeats itself, that's definitely one that goes back and forth. Or if it's not back and forth, it's a little bit of a landslide from either or. And a lot of times it depends on which field we're playing at too. Because I'll tell you what, I've walked on that field myself, and that's a hard field to even walk on the sidelines.
Yeah. Mar Vista actually, in case you know, Mar Vista has actual grass on their field. They don't have
nice
artificial. So
they're one of the few with grass still. Say Mar Vista, it's been the home team typically wins, except for I think it was 2018. But it was we played them twice opposite. They beat them home and we beat them away, but we beat them in the playoffs. So that worked out for us better.
That's right.
But typically the home team wins, but you never know. Harvest is always a good matchup.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about some of those games. Luke, I tell you what, the first digit of the score is higher than the second digit of the score for both teams. That's when things got a little crazy. Taylor, are you thinking of anybody that I don't want to leave anybody off of our team that maybe needs a shout out? I know these guys took care of some, but maybe if you got some, or Coach Estes, Coach Tim as well, we can squeeze some more names in or get the guys to add some more too.
I have a roster in front of me, so I can cheat a little bit.
Yeah,
Dylan
right, Dan.
Anderson is one. We've mentioned him a few times. Dively is one of our linemen. He's going to do a lot of stuff for us. Also a junior. Anderson's a senior. David is one of our senior receivers. Gomez is a defensive player for us that didn't go last year, and he's back. Gonzalez is a player that's back for us. Sean Martin's a returning sophomore. He's going to be a junior. He was one of our sophomores that started last year. McDuffie is a lineman that's back this year. Luke is a transfer that we just got. That's awesome for us.
Adler's a transfer.
Adler's a really good transfer for us that is going to turn into one of our linemen, I think. Andrew Peterson is actually one of our guys that got hurt, but thankfully he was able to get cleared to play this year. We were really concerned we were going to be missing him. He's a two-way guy. He's one of our receivers and DBs, and he got hurt also in that Valhalla game last year, but he's cleared and able to play. Santiago is a key defensive player that's returning. Our kicker is returning, Jaxen Scott. Let me see what we got.
Did you mention a couple of the other baseball guys? Landon
Yeah,
Bailey.
so Brandon Bailey, Hayden Sheehan, and Ethan, of course, are baseball guys that got back this year that are going to make a huge difference for us. On top of also Coda Alto, who's going to be one of our linemen, who will be very important.
Oh, Coda. Okay, Coda's on the team.
Coda's he was going to play then baseball started, and obviously he's an all-CIF baseball player, so he chose baseball, which is fine. But he will be back with us this year too.
No, shout out to Coda. I've known him for years, but I am also, if Coda gets around to watching this, I apologize, Dave. I called Coda throughout the whole baseball season a senior, so I made him a year older than he was. So I don't know if I should apologize or what. For some reason I thought maybe because I've known him since he was, half the size he is now. I should say maybe a quarter of the size he is now. He's a big boy, but sorry, Coda, you're a senior now. And last year you were junior, and I called you a senior throughout the whole year. And he made all first-team CIF pitcher, Dave. He had an unbelievable win-loss record.
Yeah. Oh, he just played like a senior. Maybe that's why.
Maybe that's what it. Nobody corrected me, so no one obviously reads the story. I'm wasting my time. Go ahead,
a big key player is the defensive player coming back is going to be, of course, Logan Jordan. We've mentioned him. He was kind of the backbone with Michael from last year to keep the defense going, and he's also a running back for us, but Lucas came in. We're like, all right, we can let him focus more on the defense because we don't want him gassed and we don't want him hurt. So the less – I don't want to say the less we can play him, the better, but if we can focus him on defense, it's going to be better for him and for us overall since we have someone that can fill in for him.
And, I was going to mention, you circle it on the calendar every year, but I think it's kind of a toss-up for you guys as far as whether it's Mar Vista or the Mayor's Cup, because those are both big games for you every year. Well, not every year for Mar Vista, but quite often that you play those guys. But if you had to pick one, it would probably still be the West Hills. And I was going to mention, and I don't know if you saw that, Ramon. We had a comment down below that Raymond Brown actually said he's been to all three of your last CIF championship games, and he said this year he needs to see you win one.
I would love to win one. I think all these guys like to win one. That would be awesome.
Actually, Ethan was on the. Did you start 2019, Ethan? Ethan played quite a bit with that team on that last GIF team, so
Ethan was on that.
Enjoy a second opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ethan was our lone
coming for revenge.
So.
And then some.
And what do they call it? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, or whatever they call it. Yeah, that seems to be always like second place out of the deal here. We got to.
Like I said, hey, like we said, we talked about it. You give us that touchdown at the end of the first half. Maybe you got maybe we have the momentum to win that championship. Ethan, what Raymond said, Ethan. I mean, it's not just a point. I mean, Raymond runs the great San Diego football website, and Sultans. I'll tell Luke too while he's listening, but I'll ask Ethan from the experience point. I mean, getting to a championship game is kind of our thing, really, for the Sultans in a way. We want to win one, yes, but we've been there.
Yeah, definitely want.
We've 100% been there. We just have to capitalize. That's all it is, just capitalizing. Just the little mistakes we have to pick up.
Yeah, if they went back again, Dave, and I know the coaching staff can, they'll probably, I don't know, they probably kind of kick themselves when you have a situation where penalties kind of make some of the story play of the game as a coaching staff. Coach Tim, you kind of blame yourself in a way.
Very much so for a couple of the games, and even the first one before that when I was just at DC a few years back. Of course, did I prepare him enough? Did I get him enough did we make the right calls? We did stuff. So I always pin it on us when we don't take care of that stuff. So that's something that we as a staff need to do better to get them ready.
Well, I forget which coach it was, Ramon, the other night that mentioned that how many more games you can win just by limiting the mistakes and limiting the penalties. Those are wins right there.
Yep.
And very attainable and winnable games. It's all in. I mean, how many false starts and how many offsides? I mean, just paying attention to the movement as opposed to the cadence that we like to focus on a lot of times. But who knows? That might be the key to your success this year. You might limit the laundry, which equals another trip to the CIF championship and a win.
Right. Okay. David has been so patient. I'm talking about David Friedman getting in and out. I hope he can hear me. We're going to ask him a question. We're going to give him a 1 or 2 cents.
No way.
We're just going to ask. Just ask the question, Ramon. Just ask the question. Come on.
Whenever he gets here.
Right. Yeah, it was. I was going to hit him up about the, one more time. Maybe I can get him.
The timing was.
We just lost Jaxen too. No.
Actually, I was just going to mention Jaxen, he's our anchor on our line. That guy can block.
Jaxen shoring up the line, Coach Tim.
He can block. We want to run the ball. We run behind him.
I would say he's got a little brother that's about the same size as an freshman coming in, and we're hoping by next year he can replace Jaxen.
We're going to go one more round of questioning. That's why we want to get at least David a chance, right? We've had him 1, maybe 2 questions, Dave. And so, David, I'll ask it sounds like you're actually caught up perfectly on the volume. So when we talk about, we try to hype it up. We try to sell it as these are still the Sultans, still capable of winning a championship because of tradition. But we know there's new people as well. So what do these coaches do? Do they try to say, wipe the slate, you guys are a different team, your own identity? Or do they try to instill on you guys that there's a winning tradition here? Let's follow that tradition.
Yeah. The coaches do a really good job about making sure our job is to win, but you gotta overcome certain things that like changes such as people leaving as seniors like last year, and we're like Luke coming in at running back. We got new receivers, new quarterback. There's a whole lot of things that I think we need to just kind of mold into as a team that I think we're starting to do. So.
Well, that was worth the wait. I'll tell you that. That was a poignant answer to that question. So thanks a lot, David. Hopefully we'll stay in there. We'll get you one more time, maybe, Dave. We want to go a couple rounds with one more round, Dave. Just a couple minutes left with these guys. While Jaxen dropped off, Dave, Coach Estes was talking about how swell he's looked and how good he's looked at blocking. Dave, you want to hit Jaxen up with another question, or keep me rolling here for a few more minutes?
Yeah, I mean, from what I gathered from our new quarterback, he had high expectations, and he spoke well of his line, and I'm sure, Jaxen, you're looking forward to pretty much even helping him out a little bit with not only the blocking, but helping him out with the playbook and the play schemes that you're already aware of, and helping him succeed not only through your blocking, but also with that playbook and helping him along so you can all succeed.
Jaxen, is it tough to be a Sultan lineman?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. Especially when a bunch of the guys, they don't really have that much experience being on the O-line. Yeah, I got to kind of help them. I got to try and step up and be the – sorry, something just fell. But I got to try and step up and, teach them what to do, because I've been a lineman for 10 years in my life. It's literally my life. So it's a great opportunity to have to help coach these guys who, are pretty much new to this.
Well, Jaxen, you might end up. It might be a good prep for you. You never know when football's all said and done. As far as your playing career, which I don't see it ending anytime soon. Coaching might want to be. That might be something you have in your back pocket. As far as coaching some offensive lines or an offensive coordinator, you never know. You're getting a lot of experience, that's for sure. I mean, already having 10 years in there.
Yeah, I mean, my brother is a freshman on the Sultans right now, and I've been coaching him for probably like 2 years now. And he's bigger than me right now, so he's gonna be beast.
Yeah.
Hey, just to chime in on that, he actually helps coach some of the offensive line doing stuff. He'll run, hey guys, gotta do this. I think he'll make a fantastic coach once his career is done playing.
No, that was I was going to say. He's up.
Things doing stuff. He's very articulate and cerebral about stuff like that.
That's what I was going to say, Coach Tim. You already gave him the coach's hat. So, right, it's like having a coach on the field right there with Jaxen.
It is.
And that's pretty fortunate. Like I mentioned, I want to touch on that again because I think that is so important to a younger offensive line, a younger quarterback behind center, to have a guy like that to anchor everybody, keep everybody where there's, so we don't get those penalties, keeping everybody lined up where they're supposed to be, and helping out our gunslinger back there, and hopefully come kickoff, and especially league play, Nick's going to be ready to go, and everybody will be on the same page, and the Sultans will be running 100%.
Oh yeah, I can't
no doubt
wait.
About it. Yeah, no doubt about it, Dave. We gotta get this season going. No stopping us now, right, guys? No stopping us now. I want to thank all the Santana Sultans, especially David Friedman. He gets the on there. That's why I said it. He dropped off again, but he gets the honorary shout out. I might not even repeat anybody else's name. This was all about David to stay with us and come back in and out. Jaxen, Dolan, Luke Nash, welcome to the East County, and we got a special brand of football out here. I promise you that, sir. Nick Ledger, looking for big things from Nick for the next 2 years. Also, veteran Ethan Wright. Bring David back in. Just so he does have the best picture out of all of us, except for, of course, you, Dave. But He has the best visual connection. We just couldn't keep him on long enough. But thanks a lot, David. Good to see you again. And Coach Tim Estes and head coach Taylor Estes. I'll just say it. Taylor, did we get everything in there? You were fact checking us.
I think
the whole
so.
way.
I think we're covered for the most part.
And we got in your second year coach, Taylor Estes.
Yeah. And she's actually been doing a good job too. Trust me, she's doing a lot of stuff that she hadn't done in the past because of her schedule or college schedule and stuff. But she's been doing a ton of stuff, so way more than I expected. And she's been doing
That
fantastic.
little COVID season was a crazy entryway to it, and I got promoted a lot faster than I wanted to, which is great, but also chaos at the same time. I mean, you can ask like Nick, for example. I'm like, Nick knew that I was new, jumped into it, and he ran with me the whole time. And I appreciate Nick and especially all the now sophomores that, yeah, we stuck it out, and it worked out pretty well for us.
Sounds like you guys are prepped and ready to go. Only a 6-week hiatus for you guys as well as everybody else, but it sounds like you guys are heading in the right direction, and should see some exciting things coming out of East Santee for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward for the season. Now it's here. Let's just roll with it. Now I'm ready to go. It'll be fun.
Appreciate you guys.
And we'll be in the right season too. We'll actually be playing when we are supposed to be playing, in as opposed to March as our starting time.
Can't wait. All right, Dave. Thanks to the Sultans for getting this together. I know it's still a little early. Still got a few weeks to go for that first game, but I know it seems like it's going fast. It'll be here before you know it. Thanks to the Sultans. Thank you, Dave. And good night. EastCountySports.com. Santana Sultans, 2021 East County Prep Football Preview.